Do you hear that? In this video, that's the sound of history being made. We're about to do a video like we have never done before. I'll tell you more about that later. Let's start with a pen though. Today's video is about the Kaco Edge, a pen that has had some, shall we say, unfavorable comparisons to the Lamy 2000, but being a very reasonably priced pen made of brushed macrolon, you can see where the comparisons come from. The question is it really all as bad as people say? And do I recommend it? What do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Can it be used to make art? Those are the questions we're going to explore in this video, and I can't wait to show you. Let's take a look. All right, here it is, the Kaco Edge. This is what it came in. It's a little beat up, and I went ahead and removed the tape on this side so that we could open it more easily. You can see the box includes a link to the website, Born for Excellence, upside down. Anyway, yeah, it's not much of a box, but I don't really need boxes to be anything more. If they're too decorative, I don't throw them away. As you know, it's becoming a problem. So it's just a little plastic box right here. It doesn't come with any instruction manual. It is a pen. If you don't know how to use a pen, you might need other help beyond what a box of instructions could provide for you. Let's just open it up and take it out. It does come with a converter, which looks to be a standard international converter. And I say looks to be because we're going to try something in a little bit. I'm disappointed to say, because I already took a look at this, this pen does not come with a converter. Usually you don't see a pen like this not come with a converter unless it costs $200 plus. This is just my running joke on this channel. It seems like the cheaper pens usually come with one. So here's the pen anyway. It's made of brushed macrolon, which is the same thing that the Lamy 2000 is made of. You can see little, hopefully this brushes right off. I'm gonna have to clean this with a cloth or something. You can see little bits of kind of almost like plastic shavings. So straight hot off the factory floor, kids. There's a little sticker here that will peel off later when I peel it off. The connection points are really similar to the Lamy 2000. I'll bring out my Lamy 2000 a little bit if we want to look at it. I do like that it comes in a couple of different colors. There's kind of a coffee brown color and this blue macrolon, which is kind of cool. It's kind of a departure from the black macrolon that is my Lamy 2000. Non-hooded nib, thank you. It says it's a German nib. Okay, maybe. It is a Schmidt nib, if I understand correctly, so not one of the two main German nib brands that makes those things. But anyway, the cap seems pretty heavy. As a matter of fact, the cap is almost as heavy as the body of the pen. Be that what it is, it does nicely, pretty securely post, which gives it a pretty good weight. It doesn't feel like the $15 to $20 pen that I paid for. It feels nicer than that. It doesn't feel like a $200 pen either, but some would say neither does the Lamy 2000. Controversial opinions abound. Okay, another controversial opinion. This box says metal clip fountain pen. This is not a clip. It's really weird that Kaco would be like, check out our clip, and just draw attention to the fact that this clip, let me put my pen down so I can do clip in quotation marks. You can't even lift it up. I would not recommend that you put this inside of your shirt pocket or your pants pocket or wherever you clip your pens, because you're just gonna break this cap. It's just welded on there. It's a dagger. I mean, I get why it's called the Kaco Edge. It looks like a butcher's knife or something. It does work as a roll stop, but I just don't think you should clip anything onto this pen. A couple of solutions for the problem of not coming with a converter would be to get a converter from my box that you guys can enjoy the scenery while I remember that I forgot to get the converter I was going to use. Here we go. And I got a couple to look at, and we'll see if the Standard International holds up. This is a Schmidt style converter. These are a little bit closer to the $10 mark, I think. They're a little bit more expensive than the cheap converters you get in a lot of pens that come for free. And they're nice. They work well. So I have that one. And I also have this one, which I rescued from a Jinhao pen that cracked. And it should work as well. You can see the Standard International. There are kind of different sizes from the outside, but if you look on the inside of the converter, you're going to see that same shape. So let's just see if I can get one of them to go inside of this pen so that we can fill it up. All right, let's check the Schmidt one first. Okay, oh, that went in very nicely, pretty easy. Good, so you can just get a stock Standard International cartridge and pop it on there. Let's just see if the cheap one works too. Oh yeah, seems like it. This will work just as well as anything else. Might save this guy for a fancier pen. Anyway, you're plenty fancy, Kaco Edge. I don't know about that clip, and I don't know about a couple of things about this pen, but we're gonna see how it writes, how it draws, and how it feels to use over a long period of time. That's what's really important. Oh, and the other thing that makes people cringe whenever I do it, let me take the feed and the nib off. This is a friction fit. I refuse to stop doing this. So yeah, this is a fine. And I would have liked it in an extra fine, and the black version comes in an extra fine, but I have my Lamy 2000, so I kind of wanted something new and special and unique. And the fact that this comes in a couple of different finishes makes it fun. So I'm excited to see how this works and how it fills in just a little bit. I do not have a lot of blue pens, so when deciding what to fill this Kaco Edge with, I thought my Sea of Notions Doming Blue from Three Oysters was the perfect choice. I really love this color. It's also dark enough that I get good contrast when I'm drawing, and that's especially helpful if you're digitizing artwork or utilizing it as part of a professional output. So dark inks usually work a lot better, which is why I have a lot of dark inks. So let's see if this Jinhao converter will take the ink and not leak. I will not blame the pen if that happens, by the way, because the seal felt a little funny, and I would put that on the converter, and I'll just put the Schmidt one in if this doesn't go well. But let's just see what we got here. All right. Looking pretty good. It seems to be holding pretty solid. So let me just wipe that down, and we will have a look at how this pen performs in just a little bit. Before I actually talk about the lines that we're gonna need to do here, I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, as you can see here, I have gone over with a cloth and kind of tried to get up some of that finish that was a little bit rough here. Doesn't look like it's gonna splinter or anything, but it didn't clean up exactly how I hoped. I used a cleaning cloth to just kind of polish that out, and it helped with the body, but the cap still has some of that residue. So not great off the bat. The other thing you need to know is that Doming Blue is quite a fun ink to have upon your fingers. So That's there for who knows how long. Good for paper, good for fingers, good for pens, all around. 3 oysters, look them up, they're great. This, by the way, is my Lamy 2000. And I'm not sure if a lot of people who review the Kaco Edge would also review and own a Lamy 2000 because the price range is drastically different. I'm going to say, right off the gate, the finish of the Kaco Edge definitely feels cheaper, but it does kind of feel like it's the same material. And it is not for nothing that these two pens are compared, because when you look at the construction, there's a lot of similarities, but there are also a lot of differences. I do prefer non-hooded nibs to hooded nibs, and that just kind of is my own thing, but I know it's a popular opinion in the fountain pen community. We do have this nice little ink window that is sometimes useful in the Lamy 2000. These little metal clips right here where the cap goes on are mirrored in the Kaco Edge, so there's another thing. It's interesting that the section, which is a smooth line between the section and the body of the pen, another feature that I really like that's shared with the Lamy 2000, because you can grip the pen wherever you want. That's kind of important to me as an artist. But it's interesting that these are not the same color. I don't know how well that picks up, but this is much lighter and you can see a stronger texture feeling. And this is much darker and it feels smoother to the touch. So there's this weird transition here. Don't know how I feel about that. The cap also has this kind of gap between the body and the cap here. If you look at the posted Lamy 2000, it is just a straight shot. Okay, so there's some tolerances here. I think if you're probably a design person, you might recognize a little more effort that went into making this how it is, or just that a lot of the things work better. I do have that shiny finial on the top, which has notches. There's a little notch right here, and there's a notchless, but also that shiny top. So clearly there's some design liberties being taken here where they're similar. I want to give a shout out to the Lamy 2000 clip. Always a pleasure. This is what a clip should do. This is not a clip. However, if we're looking at the fact that this costs about 1/10 of the price of this, it's not bad. So keep that in mind, and let's do some drawings. Right, moment of truth. I have not used this pen before, and it's a fine. For Western pens, I usually enjoy an extra fine for art, but we're gonna see how this goes. I'm gonna give it some lines. Okay, actually, as far as the fineness of the line, that's not bad. That is kind of the range that I like to play with, so cool. And with a slightly thicker line that you get from a pen like this, as opposed to an extra fine, you do get a chance to have the ink shine and show off some of its qualities. If it's a shading ink, things like that. If you are the kind of person who uses sheening or shimmering inks, then you'll see that a little bit better with a wider line. And using a wide line to draw with can be very useful in its own right. So let's just see how this holds up to some. I'm gonna do my usual thing, do the geometrical shapes thing. Yeah, this line, this feels almost like the extra fine on my TWSBI Eco. So if I go fast, it keeps up, which is nice. And we get, we get some quality lines here. If I go a little scribbly, it doesn't conk out on me. And let's see. I can do these light, feathery kind of lines, and I do get a little bit of a line variation here. Good quality to have in a drawing pen, because you really want enough kind of latitude that if the drawing calls for a thinner, lighter touch, that thinner, lighter touch pays off in some way, which is something that fountain pens actually are usually not very good at. That is one of the things I like about drawing with a fountain pen. There's a little bit of a challenge there because you're supposed to kind of get this nice even line with sort of a middling pressure. And so there's a lot going on here. It feels pretty smooth, by the way, for people who are kind of really important how much feedback you get. Let's just see if pushing down with a little bit of pressure gives me a, oh yeah, there's a nice, I can actually see the tines spreading a little bit when I do that. So be that what it is, if I put it with a really light, almost barely touching the paper, I get lines like this, and then I can get lines like this, and let's check the reverse. Okay, very feedbacky, the reverse, and it does dry out a little bit, but you could put some really light hash marks if you really need to fill in with light value over here. And I might even put a little bit of micro mesh to that and see something happening. So cool. This is what appears to be a useful pen, and I'm going to draw a horribly out of perspective block for you guys. And I think it's time for art advice. Okay, and we'll just so we're aware, this is the reverse, and this is the forward. Pretty nice range here, so keep that in mind. Art advice. It's okay to make bad drawings. P.S. I do it all the time. I think we get easily frustrated and give up, which is one of those things like how Picasso once said, all children are born as artists. The trick is staying an artist as you grow up. I think when we grow up, we learn to judge ourselves. And it's a good thing to have a judgmental or a critical eye towards your work, especially if you're trying to build a professional skill. But it's also good to sit down and draw and say, I like drawing. It's fun for me. I can do these little dumb hearts like you do in middle school, and it's totally fine because I like it and I like to do it. And if I'm not very good at it, that's actually okay because this is something I'm doing for me. And I will never get good at it by judging every step that I go through where I am not meeting my own standards. Even the best artists do bad drawings, and bad drawings are a stepping stone to good drawings. So take this advice to heart. I know I will. Let's see how this pen works on the sketchbook. Before we begin the drawing sample, I have an announcement to make. In fact, this is the surprise, the history that we're making today. I have a guest artist joining us on the channel. Eugen is an artist on YouTube. He has a channel where he reviews fountain pens and he draws with them. And the only thing I think that would make his channel even better is if he had more subscribers. So I want to show you some of the art that he makes by having him do the drawing section on my video. And I swapped my drawing section out for his video. So you'll see a link to his channel in the description of this video. And if you want to see what I drew for him, go over to his channel and check out his video on the Kaco Edge, which premiered a few days ago. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you'll give him a look, give him a like, give him a subscribe, and we'll check back in a little bit.
Hello Steven and everyone else watching this. It's great to be here, and I want to thank to my gracious host Steven for having me here with you guys. My name is Eugen, and I enjoy fountain pens. I love to experiment with them, especially sketching, doodling and trying to slowly polish that artist wannabe in me that wants to come out. Today I will be talking about my opinions on the Kaco Edge fountain pen and putting it to the test by sketching a more obscure skyline of the downtown Toronto, using as inspiration a photo that I took some time ago using a Pentax MX film camera on Ilford HP5 film. To give you some points of reference, I am using 5.5 by 8.5 Fabriano 160 GSM mixed media paper, one of my favorites, and since I have two edge fountain pens, I decided to put them both to work. On the brown version, I am using the cartridge that is included with the pen, and in the blue one, I have an older version of a Hero converter that I managed to fit in this pen, in which I made a more diluted ink from the same cartridge as the brown pen. My goal was to create a lighter tone of the same ink and hopefully get a sketch that was a dual tone. In hindsight, I probably would have not used the cartridge provided with the pen. For whatever reasons, the ink did not adhere too well to the paper and it was not behaving as I was expecting it to. I guess that serves me right for jumping into a sketch without first of all understanding the medium that I'm working with. The problem was that the ink smudged a lot, especially when I tried to erase the pencil marks with the eraser. There were a couple of times where I almost gave up and wanted to start all over again with a different ink, but I realized that maybe it's not fair for the review, so I accepted the flaws and worked with them, and in the end I end up with something that is sort of a pleasant, from my opinion at least. Towards the end, it actually gave me the opportunity to grab a wet brush, impress the smudginess, and basically I extended everywhere I could, as you'll see in the end. Other than the ink issues that I had, I have to admit from the get-go that I do like these pens quite a lot. For me, it was hard to find any flaws. If I would have to at least choose one flaw, I would say that not including a converter rather than a cartridge was a little bit of a disappointment, especially after I realized that I did not care too much about the ink it came with. While I was using it, I was trying to understand why some people compare this pen with the Lamy 2000 and call it a blatant copy. I've seen this a couple of times and I question myself as to why. I honestly do not see or even feel the resemblance with the 2000. The only thing that they have in common is that they do use the same macrolon material, brushed in a similar way, and same idea with the spring or clutch mechanism that clasps the pen to the cap. But other than that, both pens to me look and feel completely different. I do not see a copy, but rather a fountain pen that stands on its own. I mean, are we to say that every plastic or acrylic fountain pen is a copy of the first fountain pen that was ever made of plastic or acrylic? The coolest thing that I like about this pen is the fact that I discovered that you can actually use number 5 Schmidt nibs units and converters, since Schmidt nibs are one of my favorite nibs. That's what made it cool for me. That being said, I do not know if the default nibs that comes with these pens are actual Schmidt nibs. However, they are actually pretty good. Both pens were nice and smooth out of the box and I didn't have to do any smoothing or aligning. The only downside was that writing or drawing on the reverse side of the nib was not an option and I kinda missed that. Both nibs were very wet, and even though they were marked as fine nib, because of how wet they were in combination with whatever ink that cartridge had. The lines were more towards a fine to medium to my eye and to what I'm used to. And for such a detailed drawing that I planned, I would have preferred a more fine line. I'll most probably end up by changing one of the nib units with one of the spare extra fine Schmidt nibs units that I have. I tried using the pen posted and unposted, and for me I actually prefer the pen unposted. Posted, even though it posts very well, deep and secure, it does backweights the pen a little bit and makes it feel more sluggish, especially when doing longer quick lines. For writing only, it might be okay depending on how you hold the pen. One other thing that I think people might not like on this pen is the fact that the clip, while bold and simple, and it has that kind of a Art Deco vibe, it's not very usable. Personally, I consider it more of a roll stopper rather than anything, something that actually suits me quite well, since personally I don't care much about clips. However, for someone that needs to use a clip, this will be a huge disappointment and you might want to look somewhere else. And finally, I think one of the biggest fears with this pen, and you should be aware of this before making a purchase, is that there are some cracking issues with the cap. From my readings on forums, especially Reddit subforums if I remember correctly, it seems like the glue that the manufacturer used to glue the inner cap on the Macrolon cap somehow weakens that material and it makes it crack. I remember reading that they were looking into fixing that issue, but I don't remember reading anything about them finding a solution to it. So if any one of you has more info on this, please share it with us. I would love to know that. For now, I'm happy to say my caps are still fine after 4 or 5 months, and well, finger crossed, and hopefully I didn't jinx myself, will stay like that. In the end, while I do like these pens quite a lot, I have to admit that it is a little bit hard for me to recommend it, mainly because of the potential issue with the cap cracking. No one wants that, and I don't wish it to anyone. However, if you like the pen, and considering that its price is quite low for what it is, maybe it's worth the risk. I'll leave that decision up to you. With that being said, this is pretty much all I have to say about the pen. Great little pen that unfortunately comes with a few caution warnings. Steven, thank you kindly for having me here on your channel and allow me to share my thoughts on this pen with you. To everyone else, I hope you have found this helpful or somehow entertaining, and that at the same time you enjoy my little sketch despite its flaws. Thank you and have a wonderful day or a good night, wherever you are, and I wish you all the best. Bye!
Awesome! This awesome historical video. Thanks so much, Eugen, for that art and for telling me what you think of the pen. I personally feel that it's no surprise that a $20 pen is not as good as a $200 pen. But do we have any right to expect it to be? There lies the question, and I personally feel that this is a very good pen, and if you feel like brushed Macrolon is something you really want to explore without dropping $200 on a Lamy 2000, which for me was a little bit of a disappointing pen for art, to each their own. I know it's a very popular pen, but this Kaco Edge is not bad. It has its good points, and in fact there's some things that I even like more than the Lamy 2000. One is this non-hooded nib. It's actually a very nice nib, and I do not care too much for hooded nibs, so that excites me. And as well as I feel like I have a partiality to cartridge converter pens, so the fact that this is cartridge converter, to me is just a little more convenient than a piston filling pen. Still got that nice snap when you push it into the cap. The only thing I would say is definitely it feels cheaper than something like the Lamy 2000, deservedly so. And this clip is silly. Don't care for it. I wish it would just be a regular clip. So those things aside, this is actually a really cool pen to check out. I love that it comes in a blue and also a brown in addition to the traditional black, so you get a little bit of variety. Anyway, I'll be using this a lot in the future. Thank you so much to Eugen for his contribution to my video. I hope that you'll check him out, and I hope that you'll like and subscribe to his channel. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, why not give that a try as well? We've got more cool stuff coming down the line, and I can't wait to share my next video with you. I'll see you then.